Welcome to the Wonder Boldly podcast, hosted by yours truly, Christine, founder of Drizzle Academy. I am going to encourage and motivate you to take action towards your big goals. I'm going to teach you everything I've learned from building a very successful 25-year career, coaching people, and starting my own online business. I am going to give you so many action items you are going to be able to Wonder Boldly. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wonder Boldly. Today I have with me, and we have been trying to make this happen, and finally we've made it happen, Jasmine Irven, and we met in a program that we're in together. One of those programs where it's actually a phenomenal program where you have community and we reach out to each other, get to know each other. What is somebody working on that either could help you? Maybe you end up collaborating together, learning from each other, all those good things. So that's how we met. We're in the same program together. And I really just, quite honestly, total transparency, I just loved her vibe before we met. And so total transparency. So I picked her to reach out to because I just loved her vibe. And since then, and we were just talking before we got started here, it's just blown up for me, from my perspective. Love to hear her perspective. It's just blown up. It's beautiful. It really has this sort of serene feeling. And she started the company Sustainable Bliss, and that is what we're going to talk about today. I know you love to hear about other people's journeys and, maybe why they decided to start a business and what that business looks like. And what are those action steps that are helpful to us as humans. So we're going to open up the floor. She's going to tell us all about that. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for being here. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you so much for all the kind words and for having me on. And yes, it has been a long time coming. So I'm excited to chat and share what I can, share my insight. But yeah, thank you for everything.
Yeah, awesome. And I loved how you said that, share my insight, because that's what we want. This audience loves insights. So if you will, can you sort of tell us the beginnings of why and how you became starting your own company, Sustainable Bliss, and your brand? Kind of just take us through a journey, and then I'll pepper you with a ton of questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. So I originally went to school for media because I always knew that I wanted like those buzzwords like freedom and flexibility with my schedule. I pretty much always knew that I didn't want to be in an office. And so I had also always been interested in health and wellness, but I decided that the more, safe route was to go to school for media, which was also something I was interested in. It wasn't like there was no interest there, but I wanted to go there because I knew that there was a lot of freelance jobs out there and that it was just becoming, more and more popular. So I kind of went out of, I should go and, just do the safe thing, the thing that I know I can probably get a job in and all of those things that we normally do. And I still am so glad that I did that program. I still use a lot of what I learned, and I did work in corporate for 2-ish years following graduation. But what I quickly realized was that freedom and flexibility was a lot more important to me than I thought, in terms of I really wanted it almost right away, which, I don't know. I think the corporate world served me very well. And so I have, again, no regrets about going there, but I just realized really quickly that I didn't want to be there long term. And so not only did I not want to be there because I was in an office and all of those things, but I just didn't really feel like I aligned with the business and the business values. And I also was putting a lot of pressure on myself to show up in a certain way there, just based on the fact that I was young and a lot of the people I was working with were a little bit older, and, I was working in social media. It doesn't seem like the most professional job. So I kept feeling like I had to prove myself to, show that what I was doing was worth it for them and was really, important for the company. So all of those things combined burnt myself out super quick, like 6 months into working there, and decided, after a while of just feeling really tired and lacking energy every day and not wanting to go to work and not wanting to do the things that I used to want to do, I really realized that my health and wellness had fallen completely to the side. And so I went and got some support around that. And then through getting my own support, realizing that I had some health concerns and working through those, I just realized that the impact that that had on my life was so much more important to me than the impact that I was creating, on this social media and in this corporate job that I was in. So I kept at the corporate job, but I started taking some classes on the side in nutrition. I became a certified meditation teacher, and I was just kind of playing around while I was working at corporate, while I still had that safety and security, but trying to figure out what did I want to do and what did I, see myself doing long term. So right before COVID, I left that corporate job. Like I said, I still work in media, but I'm able to do it freelance. So I transitioned from corporate to running my own business. And then also on the side, I kind of started two businesses at the same time. I have my media business, and then I also have Sustainable Bliss, which originally started just as a way for me to share this kind of journey that I was going on with my health and wellness. It was mostly just a blog. But since then, and since getting these different certifications, I have been able to, I guess, expand how I'm sharing. So I also offer classes now, and then I've started a membership as well. But that's kind of a brief overview of like the journey, why I decided to go into health and wellness. It was a lot of things all at once, but it's really, it's been cool to kind of see the progression over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what I'm hearing is you went to school, went and took something that you were interested in, and, sort of that air quote guys, safe route. So knew you could get a job and things, and you got the job and you found that it really wasn't the right fit for you. Really, freedom was much more important to you. And then along the way, health became a real, I don't want to use the word concern. Can you give me a word? Health became,
I think it became much more of a priority to me, because when I was, I was young at the time. I'm like, I was like 20-ish when I, was working in corporate and felt like this burnout hit. So I think when you're that age, I always, like I said, I always thought health and wellness was important to me, but I never really put that much energy into it, because I kind of had this idea that like, oh, I'm fine. Like I eat relatively healthy. I move, relatively throughout the day. And so all of these things, it just didn't seem like I needed to make it a priority, because I felt like I'm doing enough. My body's fine. Like I'm healthy. And then when I actually got the blood work done, I was like, okay, actually I'm not that healthy. I need to make some changes. So yes, it did become a little bit of a concern. It was nothing where I was really, really, needing to prioritize this, but I did see that if I continued on the path that I was on, it would not have been sustainable, and it could have gotten a lot more serious than it was.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So then you had this focus on wellness, and like you said, it wasn't like an acute situation, but definitely you wanted to improve your health. And what was the thing that you thought, I'm going to share this journey? Like, how did that come about?
I think just realizing how much of an impact it was having on my own life, because I could see it tangibly, like working with my nutritionist, working on all of these different parts of what I really had to do, just to clarify, was like reduce my stress. That was the main reason that I was experiencing these health concerns, this fatigue, this burnout, was because I was not setting boundaries for myself. I was not taking care of myself. I really had to focus on reducing stress. And so when I realized the impact that, changing what I was eating, and then changing how I was moving, and actually going to the gym, actually stretching, discovering meditation, and then discovering the impact that just like 5 to 10 minutes of that in my day was having, like reminders to take deep breaths and all of these things that I didn't really realize before. When I saw how much it was impacting me, and like I said, I could see it tangibly in the blood work, I was like, I don't know why this is not shared more,
Yeah.
And so I kind of just wanted to document it for myself. I also wanted to share what was, working with others, because I did want to, I've always been driven by impact and, creating impact. And knowing that I wanted to make a bigger shift in the world, which was another reason that the corporate job didn't really align with me. And so it was just, yeah, I think there was a few different reasons, but wanting to help others while still supporting myself. And it's funny, but it holds you really accountable when, like, because I was committing to blogging once a week. I had to do the work on my own so that I had something to write about,
Right.
So it held me accountable in a really cool way. And it still holds me accountable. Like we were talking about at the beginning, like me sharing my daily routine in my reels or whatever it is, it holds me accountable to the things like journaling and reading and, doing all the things that I like in my morning routine, because I want it for myself, but I also want to share and inspire someone else to do the same thing.
Right. And so I'm going to share here. So her personal account is Jasmine Irven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll put it obviously in the show notes and all that. And it is so, for me, how it impacts me. First of all, it's visually so pleasing. Like it's, I don't know how you create that vibe, and it's like phenomenal. And it's so like serene. It's so like, oh, it's not like, and again, this is my perspective, folks, but it's not like, showing beautiful cars and beautiful mountains and all these beautiful things. It's just really like this vibe of someone's, I'm getting my coffee and I'm getting dressed, but that sounded really boring, but it's not that.
No, well, yeah. No,
it.
honestly, that is what I want, because I think a lot of the time we do get stuck in comparison and all the things when we are scrolling, and we see videos where the person is doing like a million things in their morning routine, and it just doesn't seem like it's super sustainable. And so even mine, I realized that some people might not have the freedom to have as long of a morning routine as I've been able to cultivate. And so I still like struggle with that being, I get comments that are like, yeah, it's nice for you, but I can't do this. And I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is like, what time do you have in your day that you can kind of, and this has become like a more popular term. This wasn't what I thought about when I first did it, but like romanticizing your life, like that whole idea, it's kind of like that, like just the little moments of your day can be peaceful. You don't have to be running from thing to thing to thing as much. And that's really what I had to learn when I was trying to reduce my stress, was just, first of all, I'm trying to fit too many things in my day. Second of all, I don't have like any moments to just pause and appreciate where I'm at, because I was always trying to get to the next thing or the next goal. So I still have a lot of goals and ambitions. I'm still very much an ambitious person, but I also have at the same time this appreciation for where I'm at right now, and, how I can make my day to day a little bit more, beautiful, appreciated a little bit more, have that gratitude. So that's kind of what I try to convey, I would say, in the reels and in what I post.
Yes. And you do a phenomenal job. You're phenomenal at it. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love that. That's perfect adjective, romanticizing. That is the word that I was looking for without realizing it. And guys, you just have to check it out. It's just so calming. Like even like if you take 2 minutes, not even a minute, and go to her account, and you're just going to pause for a second between a meeting or whatever, you'll just feel so calm and it's so nice. And it doesn't leave you with that sense of, again, speaking for myself, but it doesn't leave me with that sense of like FOMO or like, oh, gee, she's doing this, that. So, and I'm not doing it just so positive. So positive.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's definitely what I try. Yeah, because I do feel that sense of FOMO sometimes when I see other people's, and I almost get a sense of anxiety, like, oh my gosh, but I can't do all of those things, or, that's not what my life looks like, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I do hope that it is a little bit more relatable.
Yes, I do think so. So tell us about Sustainable Bliss and how, how that kind of complements each other. Tell us about Sustainable Bliss. Tell us all about that.
Yeah. So how Sustainable Bliss has evolved is because I got certified in meditation. I'm also getting certified in hypnosis and NLP and some other things. I really wanted to share those in classes and in calls, because I not only wanted to share the tools, but I also think a lot of the time people know that they should be meditating or they want to be meditating, but they don't do it necessarily when they're on their own. Like I was saying, the accountability of sharing and the accountability of me having that nutrition coach to kind of keep me on track and keep me inspired to continue to do the work. I think a lot of us are missing that in some of these like self-care practices. But the main premise behind it is to help hold you accountable to reprioritizing yourself and all of these practices that you might want to be doing, but again, you don't make time for it now. And so the encouragement is that if you have something in your calendar, you know that you set aside that time in your calendar and you can show up and do it. So still very much the beginning stages of this. And so I think that's important for people to know that like, as you're doing the things will always change.
How can they reach out to you? How do you like people to contact you?
Instagram is generally the best way. Yeah, my email is on there. So if you do want to send an email, if that's more how you communicate, that's totally fine with me. I check my email a lot too, but just in terms of ease, yeah, Instagram, whether you message me on the Sustainable Bliss account or my personal, it's me managing both accounts. So I will see it for sure.
So if I may ask, and I ask this of all my guests, can you give us and the audience an action step, a couple action steps that they can take immediately, right after listening to this, where they can put something into action for maybe more self-care in their life, or whatever action steps you want to give us? We're all about action steps here.
I love that. Okay, well, the first thing is if you're listening to this, just take 3 deep breaths, like breathe in, take a pause, breathe in through your nose, and then let it all out through your mouth and just allow yourself 3 deep breaths. That's like the most transformational thing that you can, the little mini habit that you can add into your day whenever you feel like you're a little bit stressed or you're in between meetings or you're in line at the grocery store. Instead of scrolling your phone, like try to do those 3 deep breaths. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, like I kind of alluded to when I was talking about my morning routine and what I share online, your self-care practices are going to look different depending on what your current schedule looks like, what your commitments are right now, all of that. So I would say take a look at what your current schedule does look like and just see like, where's the space in your day where you could fit in something that you want to do. And self-care will look different from day to day for each person. So maybe just block off if you have, I don't know, half an hour in between 2 meetings or something where you don't really have a ton of commitments or you don't have anything that's obviously there's always more stuff to do. So I can't say you don't have anything to do because I know, especially if you're an entrepreneur, there's always stuff you could do. But if you could prioritize, yourself or doing something for yourself in that time, just block it off as like self-care time. And then when you get to that point in your day, so you schedule it in your calendar now. And when you get to that point, just ask yourself, like, what do I need? What do I want to do with this time? And then you can decide, is it a walk around the block? Is it reading a few pages from a book? Is your mind really, really like full and you have a lot that you just feel like overwhelmed with? If it is, journal it all out, just write down like brain dump style, everything that's on your mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything like that. Like what do you need? So I don't want to give a specific thing that you have to do within that time because it is going to be different depending. But I think if you can just get clear, maybe set a reminder on your phone every day to go off at a certain time. What do I need? How am I feeling? Just to check in with yourself. And then, yeah, that the reminder, I guess, is the first step. And then the second step would be to actually, schedule it in the calendar, schedule like half an hour where you can do the practice that you need.
Right. Thank you so much for that. I love that. Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. It's a pleasure. I'm getting to know you even more. This is so great. I can't wait to continue to follow on your journey. Just so good. And guys, I cannot say it enough. You need to go need to follow and check out Jasmine Irven. Be in the show notes. Sustainable Bliss. It'll be in the show notes. It's absolutely beautiful, calming, romanticizing, using that word, life, and just her, her morning routine, and the one that I'm referring to right now. You got to check it out. And you know what? If you check it out, tell us about it. Mm-hmm. Tell us. I would love that, right? Like, what
Yeah,
do you
I would love
think?
that too.
That
Yeah.
would be so cool. All right. Yeah. So tell us about it. Check it out and tell us what you think and maybe what adjective you would apply to it. Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's been a pleasure having you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for all the kind words, for this time to share what I love to share about. So yeah, I'm just grateful for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Until next time, continue to wonder boldly.